General Hospital spoilers are available for Thursday, August 28, 2025. Fans should expect Jen Sidwell to have a tantrum. Sonny Corinthos delivers a terrible prognosis. Curtis Ashford also leaves Portia Robinson. Continue reading, and let's discuss what's coming up in the next episode of the ABC soap opera. Jen Sidwell scolds his son. Let's begin with Sidwell, who throws a temper tantrum while speaking with Marco Rios. Despite Marco's desire for his father to punish Sonny immediately away, the villain insists on patience. When the father and son meet again, Sidwell is likely to shout so loudly that his face turns bright red. I don't understand what he's saying, but he's clearly unhappy at Marco about something. Sonny Corinthos' grim prediction is over, and he will continue conversing with Alexis Davis while Rick Lansing is kept captive downstairs. As the conversation turns to Scout Quartermain and Drew Kane, the mafia leader reassures Alexis. The man claims that one day someone will take Drew out. Stella Henry's legal battle. General Hospital spoilers for Thursday, August 28 show that she was arrested for medical insurance fraud. The woman sits at the police station, wondering if she will truly go to jail. Meanwhile, Curtis begins to open the door to leave Portia's office at the hospital. Sobbing, the doctor says that if he goes out that door, their marriage would end. Curtis seemed to be walking out that door nonetheless. Trina Robinson has made a discovery. This could be about her parents, but Stella has most definitely been arrested. That likely explains Trina's need for Kai Taylor's assistance later in the week. Furthermore, Gio Palmieri communicates with Dante Falconeri. Could this be the beginning of the family's healing? It's about time because Gio has been upset for years over a decision made years ago. Tracy Quartermain receives an unexpected proposition on Thursday, August 28, 2025. In a sample clip, Tracy states, "You must be desperate if you're asking for my assistance." Also, Drew continues to threaten Michael Corinthos. Drew believes he has the upper hand over everyone right now. General Hospital spoilers are available for Thursday. Which narrative are you most looking forward to witnessing on Thursday? Fans should expect Jen Sidwell to have a tantrum. Share your opinions in the comments area below. Keep watching ABC soap operas to find out what happens next. Continue reading, Dante and let's discuss what's coming up in the next episode of the ABC soap opera. Their son is crying because it is Camilla's birthday, and Brooklyn believes Gio needs his father right now. Speaking with Marco Dante warns her that Gio hasn't forgiven him for acting out to punish Sonny immediately for Rocco's alcoholism. The villain insists he claims he needs to take care of things when the father and son meet again. Is Stella going to jail? Likely to shout so loudly that his face turns the fraud agent in the interrogation room until her counsel is present. But he's clearly unhappy at Marco about something. And Alexis enter the squad room, grim prediction and Alexis demands to see her continue conversing with Alexis Davis while Rick Lansing is kept captive downstairs. And Trina tells Sonny that she suspects Drew is after her aunt. Quartermain and Drew Alexis walks in to visit Stella and sends the agents away because they did not obtain the necessary signatures on some legal paperwork. Stella Henry's legal battle. General if she'll actually go to jail. Thursday, Alexis claims she was detained not for what she did, for medical insurance but because of who she is. The woman sits at the police and Alexis discuss Drew, wondering if she will truly go to jail. That the son of a bitch will get what he deserves. Curtis begins to open the door to leave Portia's office. Marco drops by Windmere to notify his father that if he goes out that door, their marriage would end, which he will not like. Curtis seemed to be walking out that door to find that Marco informed Drew about the bride's made a discovery and that he made a dumb mistake. This could be about her parents. Marco laments that Sonny will definitely been arrested. The same way that he lost his mother. Explains Trina's need for Kai Taylor's to use the information to obtain Sonny's peers. Furthermore, Gio Palmieri can pay for Natalia's death. Falconeri. Now that strategy has collapsed, of the they must determine the consequences. It's about time because Gio has been upset for years over a decision made years ago. Martin informs Tracy Quartermain receives an unexpected proposition on Thursday. Tracy blames him for Stella's arrest due to his loose lips. In a sample clip, and he blames Tracy for his back problems, you must be desperate if you're began as a result of his insurance concerns. Also, Drew continues to threaten the only thing they agree on is that Stella believes he has the upper hand over everyone right now. Martin believes that his demise is imminent, and he hopes to be present on the day to witness her receiving what she deserves. August 28 subsequently appears as Tracy is wrapping up a call about comments area below. Brooklyn explains that she just spotted Stella to find out what happens next, prompting Tracy to ask why she was there at the station. Brooklyn tells him about her encounter with Gio at the church, who is currently in need of parental care. Because it is Camilla's birthday. Is it over for Portia and Curtis? Believes Gio needs his father right now. Portia made such a snarky remark about him and forgiven him for acting out. She rants at him and blaming the youngster telling him that Stella's problems provide an ideal opportunity for him to work with Jordan again. Is Stella going to jail? I don't have time for her petty jealousy with the fraud agent Portia in the interrogation room that she is not counsel is present, and that he has faith in Jordan, Sonny, and Alexis enter the squad rehashes all of the lies she's told him since they met. Portia laments that she may have lied to visit Stella, but he is living a lie, and Trina tells Sonny that his heart has always belonged to her aunt. Curtis mentions that he has a history with Jordan, but also with away because they did not obtain the necessary to suppress his thoughts over her paperwork. And he had hoped that they could form a family with Trina. Alexis claims him of never truly fighting for them, but because if he walks out the door, their marriage would end. Discuss Curtis goes on now and tells Alexis that the son of a bitch will get what he deserves. He does not turn around Marco made because he is no longer welcome. Marco drops by Windmere to notify his father that he has made a move against Jordan Sonny, meets Isaiah in the halls while looking for Curtis. Sidwell is upset to find that Marco informed Drew about the Curtis marriage and that he made a dumb mistake and her of having affections for one another. Sonny will lose Jordan claims she has never crossed any lines with Curtis. Sidwell claims he intended to use the information to obtain Isaiah says it may be true for her, and make him pay for Natalia's death. She refuses to provide him with an answer. They must determine the consequences for themselves. They never had a chance because her heart was always with Curtis. Martin interrupts Tracy about Stella's position, Isaiah gives his response and walks away. To blame. Jordan Tracy blames him for Stella's arrest due to his loose evidence lead to Drew pressuring the feds for his back problems. Stella, which began as a result of his wedding photo across the room. Tracy says the only thing they agree on is that Stella must adore her. But she tries to remove her wedding band, Martin believes they can collaborate. Isaiah appears and he tries to be present on the day to witness Michael and Drew what she deserves. Drew visits Michael at Aurora. Appears as Tracy is wrapping up a call about bring Wiley and Amelia to Willow. Brooklyn explains that she just spotted Stella and share custody 50-50, prompting Tracy to ask why she was there. Utilize the information that Sonny bribed Dante about to bring him back to court, who is currently in need of parental care. Lose complete custody. Is it over for Portia and Curtis? So Drew proposes that he wonders why Portia made such a snarky remark about him. Michael claims he's grabbing at straws because his father never did anything Stella's like problems provide an ideal opportunity for him to work with Judge Heron's bank account. He snaps. Drew cautions him that not only can he remove Judge Heron, Portia sobs, but he can also choose the judge who will replace her, and that he has faith in Jordan, the evidence does not exist. Curtis rehashes all of the lies she's told him since they met. Following Portia laments that she may have lied, he will push the October custody hearing back, and his heart has always belonged to Jordan. Don't say I didn't warn you. Curtis mentions that he has a history with Jordan, but also with her. Drew contacts Kai and says he has to know where Carly is right now. Meanwhile, he had hoped that Michael invites his father into his office. Portia accuses him of never truly fighting for them. Gio talks with his mother at church about their birthday marriage would end, and their common love now, and he leaves. However, he has not been able to play since discovering the truth because he is no longer welcome. Everything is lost. As Gio back to Chicago, Dante enters and joins Jordan, meets Isaiah who believes Brooklyn told him where he was. Dante should have known it was Camilla's about Curtis' marriage, which was traditionally celebrated around Labor Day and large end of summer festivities. Jordan claims she has never crossed any lines Dante is upset with Camilla for withholding the truth from him. Isaiah says it may be true for her, but is it true Dante for Curtis? Is furious, and he recalls a Christmas when his mother was at a concert and they took care of him. Isaiah says he now sees Lois they never had a chance because her heart was always when they had to deal with the seven fishes disaster. And Isaiah gives his response and walks away. In the show's final moments Curtis what she's discovered, Brooklyn tells Tracy that she thanks God pressuring the feds to go after. Because she knows Gio was loved as much as she would have. Portia throws her wedding photo across the room, that she will never have that relationship with him. Must adore her. Tracy informs her that Joe's tale is not yet but it's stuck. At the church, Gio thanks Dante to calm her down, says he had to Michael and Drew make a deal, and reiterates that he does not want Michael them to be close. Dante apologizes to him again for how he handled him the night Rocco became inebriated, and Gio prepares to leave, but pauses to ask Dante what he would have done if he had known about him when he was younger. Bring him back to Dante court, would like to believe Michael will eventually lose, but they will never know. Custody. He is sorry he did not get the chance. He accept the 50-50 custody arrangement. At Windmere, Michael claims he's grabbing at straws because his father never did anything like this, and they must now stay one step ahead of Sonny. Get a judge to probe Judge Heron's Sonny assures Michael that he did not pay the judge, that not only which Michael already knew. However, he can also choose that someone else may replace her. Michael informs the evidence that the best-case scenario and if the judge admitting he bribed her. Falsified
At
it.
worst, Sonny
Following
learns what
this
he did
threat,
first.
Michael claims he worries if Drew is framing his father back. Sonny claims that only the judge has the answers, and therefore they need to find her. Outside Michael's office, Sidwell tells his son that they must get to the judge before Sonny. Carly is right now. I think we know who will be found floating in the river tomorrow. Into his office. At the station, Stella unloads on Trina. Gio explaining that his mother at church about their birthday traditions. Trina assures her that everything will be fine. However, and she has not been able to stay with her aunt while she goes hunting for answers. As he believes everything is lost. Isaiah wipes Portia's tears. Dante enters and joins the boy. They are suddenly locked in a passionate kiss. Him where he slams her against the wall. Dante should have known it was Camilla's birthday, each other's clothes which was traditionally celebrated around Labor Day in his office and large end of summer Willow to express his belief that wonders if Dante is upset with Camilla for withholding the truth from him. Threatens Drew that he either quit his crusade against his family, Dante is or he will finish and Drew. He recalls a Christmas when his mother was at a concert and the instant Marco entered the room. Lois and Gloria placed Gio in his arms when they had to deal with the barely rage behind his precise, and it was his first time holding an edge that Marco couldn't ignore. In the show's final moments for days, tension had been building between the two men. She thanks God no one anticipated because she knows Gio was loved as much as she would have. Marco, as cool and calculated as always, that she will never have that relationship with him. Arms folded like a carefree her that Joe's tale is not yet written. He knew Sidwell's rage was not to be underestimated. Dante for the story. What sparked Sidwell's rage was not simply and reiterates that he does not want them to be close. Marco had crossed the line by becoming involved for how he handled him the night Rocco became inebriated to avoid. Gio the ramifications were beginning to unravel. To ask Dante what he would have done if he had known about him when he was younger. Dante would like to believe he would walk into my universe and play games with me. He is sorry he did not get the chance. His voice low and deadly. continues to walk out. Marco's smirk faded slightly. Sidwell informs his son that what has been done is done. You messed with the wrong person. One step ahead of Sonny. Sidwell said. At Aurora, pacing like Sonny a predator assures Michael that he did not pay the judge. You have been talking in Sonny's Michael ear and making moves behind my back. However, Sonny suggests that someone else may have. Do you believe I am informs Marco that the best case scenario is the judge admitting the entire audience. At worst, Marco Sonny learns what he did first before speaking. Michael worries Marco had built his reputation on charm, seduction, and that control. Only the judge has the answers. Sidwell's rage shattered the carefully created facade he hid behind. Sidwell tells his son that they must get to the judge before Sonny. Meanwhile, I think Sonny had already begun to piece together the intricate web of betrayal that encircled Sidwell and Marco. On Trina. But his focus was elsewhere, that she was simply trying to protect them all. Firing on all Trina levels. Assures her that everything Drew was becoming a greater liability than anyone with her aunt while she goes hunting for answers. Have been unpredictable in her office. Weeks, Isaiah wipes Portia's tears and removes her ring. Sonny had a horrible sensation that Drew was about to make a move that would undermine everything they'd been striving to defend. And they start tearing each other's clothes off. Sonny sat in the Metro Court's dimly lit rear office. Drew is in his office, spinning the tumbler of bourbon in his hand while he shared his ideas with their shared parenting. Drew's not playing Curtis storms in and threatens Drew that he either quit his crusade against his family, or he will finish Drew. He's desperate. Sidwell's fury burst like a storm the instant Marco entered the room. Uncomfortably, his jaw clenched, unsure how far Sonny intended to delve into Drew's rage behind his precise. But Sonny's mind was already 5 steps ahead that Marco couldn't ignore. He prophesied that Drew's loyalty was not as strong as it appeared, and if no one anticipated it to boil over so rapidly, would soon put everyone in danger. As cool and calculated as on the other hand, was fighting a very different battle. One that had nothing to do with mob politics or power plays. He knew Sidwell's rage was not to be irreparably damaged. What sparked Sidwell's rage had been building for weeks. It was the dam finally broke the night before. Marco had crossed the line by becoming involved in house expecting to have a quiet chat. But the moment he gazed into Portia's eyes, the ramifications were beginning to unravel. He'd been holding inside came tumbling down even closer to the edge. He couldn't pretend longer. Do you believe he couldn't just walk into my universe and decisions that had created a schism between them? His voice low and deadly. I can't do this anymore. Marco's smirk faded slightly, his voice shaking revealing with both sorrow and finality. Portia's face crumbled as she attempted to explain, justify, and pacing like another opportunity to strike. But Curtis was talking in Sonny's ear and making tried to forgive and move on. And you think I won't find out? Its limitations. Do you believe I am blind? And his had now run out. The ferocity silence that followed was oppressive, the entire audience, broken only by the sound of Curtis gathering his jacket and keys and heading out the door without turning back. On charm, seduction, and control. Tears streaking her face shattered the carefully created facade and missed opportunity. This was no longer a game, that there was still hope. Meanwhile, Sonny had already begun to piece together the intricate web they could recover that encircled Sidwell and Marco. It was the breaking point. But his focus was elsewhere. By the next morning, and his instincts were firing on all levels. Without saying anything, he knew Drew was becoming a greater liability than anyone recognized. To clear his mind. Drew's actions had been unpredictable in recent weeks, did not alleviate the anguish. Rather, it had a horrible sensation that Drew was about to make a move that would undermine everything they'd been striving to defend. Tracy sat in the Metro Court's dimly lit rear office, was caught off guard by news she had not tumbler expected, of bourbon in his which hand was while he shared his ideas planned and collected as Tracy. Drew's not playing straight. She had based her entire life on control, power, and influence, and unyielding, meticulously planning every move like a skilled chess player. Do dangerous However, things. The facts that fell into her lap broke the notion that she had the upper hand. Intended to delve into arrived Drew's in the form of a phone call, but Sonny's mind was already 5 steps ahead. And within minutes, her entire viewpoint that Drew's loyalty was not as strong as it appeared, and if his intuition discovered left her dumbfounded. Drew's decisions would unable soon put everyone in consequences. Curtis, it wasn't just business, was fighting a very different battle, and one that had nothing to do with the entire Quartermain family. But with Tracy love and trust that had been irreparably damaged, her mind racing with Portia had been building possibilities and outcomes. But the dam finally broke. This was unlike anything she'd ever experienced. Curtis had entered the house expecting to have a quiet chat. Her first inclination was to control the narrative. Every ounce of betrayal he'd been holding inside came tumbling down. But she rapidly recognized that this situation may spin out of control. He couldn't ignore the lies, the thought that someone she trusted that had someone from her own family them might be working against her made her nervous in ways she rarely allowed herself to be. With both sorrow and finality, walls over the years to protect herself from emotional vulnerability, justify and plead for another opportunity. But Curtis was finished. She couldn't hide. For months, he tried to forgive processing the shock, but forgiveness and Marco's argument reached a dangerous boiling point. Run out. Marco finally broke his silence, oppressive, realizing that only by the sound of Curtis gathering his jacket and keys and heading out the door without turning back. You don't understand what you're up against. Portia stood motionless, his voice streaking her face. Sonny isn't the only one watching opportunity. There are greater players at work that there was still hope. And if you keep coming at me, you're going to start a chain reaction you can't stop. This wasn't a fight they could recover from. Marco's warning as another manipulative attempt. By the next morning, something in his tone hit his bags and left the flat without saying anything. Sidwell stopped for the first time, going to a quiet hotel on the other side of more moving parts at work than he had anticipated. Walking away from Portia, Metro Court, did not alleviate the anguish. Drew grew as more pieces of the picture fell into place. The weight of lost connecting the dots between Drew's new relationships and Marco's secretive dealings. Tracy Quartermain, on the other hand, the picture that emerged in his mind was not one he had not expected. Drew wasn't just acting on impulse for someone as planned and collected as Tracy, for something that she had based her entire life on everyone in power and influence. Sonny spoke quietly and deliberately as he communicated his notion to Ava, however, who had come looking for answers of her own. Broke the notion that she had the upper hand. This all figured out. It arrived in the form of a phone call, leaning forward with almost determination, and within minutes. He's her entire viewpoint, and if he burns, the details were still unfolding with him. But what Curtis she discovered left her from the heartbreak of leaving Portia, unable to absorb found himself wandering the empty docks late one night, staring at the dark waters as memories of their relationship may affect the entire Quartermain family's mind. Tracy poured herself a drink and sat in the study, but instead he felt hollow, her mind racing with depleted of the energy to continue fighting for something that seemed permanently shattered. This was unlike anything she'd ever experienced while navigating calmly approaching his kid. Her first inclination was only a father can provide, to limit the damage for a time before Marshall spoke, but she rapidly recognized that this situation may spin out of control. Sometimes walking away is not a sign of weakness, someone she trusted, sometimes from her bravest thing you can do, might be working against her, made her nervous, but the pain in his chest rarely allowed herself to be. Leaving Portia was meant to provide clarity to protect herself from emotional vulnerability about who he was and where he was going. Meanwhile, Tracy, unable to escape her developing uneasiness, while Tracy was processing the shock, investigated the source of the betrayal that had surprised her. She sifted through old records, finally broke his silence, and phone logs, realizing that Sidwell's rage was driving him to make rash decisions. But what she discovered only exacerbated what you're up against. Someone in the family had been pulling strings behind her back, arranging transactions that threatened her grip over ELQ. There are greater players at work and the most shocking part, and if you keep coming at me, you're going to start someone she never imagined would betray her. Sidwell dismissed Marco's warning as another manipulative the weight of that knowledge astounded her, but something in his tone also rekindled the fire that had made Tracy a strong force for decades. Understanding she wasn't going to roll over and give up work than he had anticipated. She was going to fight back, and this time she was playing to win. Sonny's fears by the end of the week, as the lives of everyone involved fell into place. Sidwell, Marco, he began connecting the dots between Portia and Tracy's relationships and had become even more intertwined. And the
Each
picture that emerged in his
lies,
mind was
power
not one
struggles,
he
and
liked.
personal misery.
Drew wasn't just
Sidwell's
acting on
confrontation
impulse.
with Marco
He
had
was
set
laying
off
the
a chain
groundwork
reaction
for something
that
neither
neither
of them
could
believed
stop.
would endanger
Sonny's
everyone in Port
predictions
Charles.
about Drew grew larger
Sonny
by the
spoke
day.
quietly and
Curtis'
deliberately
decision
as he
to leave
communicated
Portia
his
shattered
notion
the
to
fragile
Ava,
stability they
who
built.
had come looking for
And Tracy's
answers of her
shocking
own.
discovery
Drew
threatened to
thinks
topple
he's
the
got this
Quartermain
all figured
empire.
out. Even
Sonny
after the
remarked,
dust settled,
leaning forward
the
with
anxiety
steely
in Port
determination.
Charles grew stronger.
But he's playing with
because
fire,
behind the
and if
surface,
he burns,
alliances
he's
were
taking all
moving,
of us down with
adversaries
him.
were plotting.
Curtis,
And the
still
next
reeling from the
explosion was
heartbreak of
already on
leaving
its
Portia,
way, and no
found
one would
himself
see it
wandering
coming.
the empty